AEW and Tony Khan have made a huge mistake with Mercedes Mone. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that is, how they did it, and how they can correct it. Mone to AEW was a big deal in March, and it's still a big deal in May, because Mercedes Mone, she does transcend the pro wrestling bubble thanks to her acting credentials, right? And so with The Mandalorian. And she also has this ability, which is a rare ability. She taps into different market shares. She taps into different fan bases. She has a fan base of AEW. She has a fan base from New Japan and Stardom over in Japan. And you also had the fandom from WWE. And despite the fact that she did go by the name Sasha Banks in WWE, she still has name credibility, okay? She gets opportunities not every wrestler does, and that is to her benefit. Now, if we look at Mone's run up to this point, well, it's been interesting, right? Because if you go back to May, 2 years now, Jesus, time flies, doesn't it, y'all? She walked out of WWE with Naomi, right? She had a creative dispute, although it was a little wonky, I will admit, with Vince McMahon over the creative direction of her getting a championship match. I digress. And so she left. She walked out, and she got her walking papers and she went to New Japan. She had a very, very successful and, more importantly, a lucrative run in New Japan. And so then she was sidelined with the Willow Nightingale match, as we all know. And so she was on the shelf for many, many months. But then during this time, and props to Mone for doing so, she kept her name in the news cycle. We constantly heard about Mone, not only from her recovery from injury, but as well as potential moves going forward. Because during this New Japan run, which was about a 6-month run or so, she did something very smart. She signed per match deals. All right, I'll come in and I'll work 6 shows, or I'll come in and I'll work 3 matches and make 3 appearances for 6 total commitments. She never signed a long-term deal. She never even signed a short-term deal, right? It was all per appearance, per date, per matches deals. Very, very smart, because she can continuously go back to New Japan or back to Stardom or go and talk with WB or go and talk with Tony Khan and AEW. And she can constantly keep her name in the news cycle of like, hey, she's in talks with these people. She's no longer in talks with these people. Could she go here? Could she go there? While being on the sidelines, right? She would do teasers and stuff like that. And so when she made her AEW debut in March of 2024, everyone, including myself, was very optimistic. Now, that leads us to today's video. There was a mistake that AEW made along the way, and that mistake is bringing her in as a babyface. What are we doing? So I have previously talked about how I do not like Mercedes Mone's AEW promos. I think they come off as flat in her delivery. And before I even criticize even more of this, I just want to make this prominently known. I am a Mercedes Mone fan. I am a Mercedes Mone supporter. I want to see her succeed. I think she can be one of AEW's biggest draws in the company. I think she is a megastar because she does transcend the pro wrestling bubble. She transcends the AEW bubble, right? Big supporter, but her promos suck. They come off as WWE light. They come off as flat. And I was trying to think, okay, why is this? Why? What is missing? Because even in Stardom, even in New Japan, promos were pretty good. In WWE, they were exceptionally good. She was one of the best talkers there. Now, I understand in WWE, yes, they have scripting promos, right? Nowadays, it's a little bit more bullet point standpoint, but like, come on now. In AEW, they suck. And I did a previous video talking about like, you could do multiple ways. You could have her have a manager. You could, so someone could speak with her or speak on her behalf. You could have her scripted if you wanted to. Or I think what is most likely to happen, what probably should happen is, look, Mone, here's your bullet points. Okay, great. Now, I want you, instead of doing a 5, 10, 15-minute promo, I want you to do it in 2 minutes. I want you to hit all these talking points, deliver them as best as possible, get in, get out, let's go. Because if you look at her run in WWE, What was she better at? Was she better as a babyface or a heel? She was better as a heel. Now, I understand, well, you could make the case. Well, she came into AEW, so she should be a babyface. She's going to get a huge ovation. They're going to love her, yada, yada, yada. Yep, you're absolutely right. And she should have been a babyface for 2 minutes. She should have came out there, and she's the CEO, right? CEO. That freaking theme song that gets stuck in your head, and you're like, oh my God. You can come out there and be a heel, right? She does a little dance, and she twerps her hair and stuff like that. All you gotta do is do a heel promo, and boom, you switch, and boom, you're doing, because you're already doing something on a. So look, she did this gimmick in New Japan. Newsflash, y'all, not a lot of people watch New Japan. Not a lot of people watch Stardom. It's a very, very small. Think of TNA levels. Think of ROH levels. New Japan is not what it once was. And so she already did this gimmick, mind you, as a babyface on a very, very much smaller scale. So if you're coming into AEW, you're already doing a new gimmick. Just switch the flip, right? Just as, she gets her ovation, yada, 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 and then boom, you turn her heel. That's what they should have done. That was a big, big mistake by Tony Khan. That was a big, big mistake by AEW. There's no reason for her to be a babyface, right? She got the big pop. Awesome. Now, can we go sell some freaking tickets? Can we start making some real money? Because Monet can do that for you, Tony. You just got to give her the ability to do so, right? She's already been hindered. She's already been held back by the fact that she was not medically cleared for so many months because you felt like you had to bring her in March because it was in Boston. And I agree, it was a good timing because AEW needed it, right? But she did also get lost in the shuffle. And AEW is built on a pure wrestling standpoint. They do all of their storylines through wrestling, right? Their best and overused storyline in that is we have the best wrestlers. We're going to take 2 great wrestlers and then we're going to put on a great match. That's most of their storylines. And you tried to do it with Monet, who was not medically cleared. And you knew she was not going to be medically cleared for months, yet you still did the story. What are we doing? She could have, here's an idea. Here's a freaking idea. Instead of saying medically cleared, she's not, well, first of all, they didn't tell us that she wasn't medically cleared, right? They just kept putting it off. And then finally, coming out of Dynasty, or going into Dynasty, like the week of Dynasty, they're like, oh yeah, Monet's not medically cleared, but she'll wrestle the winner of Julia Hart, Willow Nightingale, and Double or Nothing. Yeah, that's happening. Instead of, she come out there and be a heel, and she continuously tease, hey, I'm gonna wrestle. Now I'm gonna make y'all wait, and then she can do the typical local cheap heat of, I wouldn't wrestle in X city, if my job depended on it, kind of thing. You can build up heat like that. It was a missed opportunity by AEW.